Good morning, everyone. It's June 5th, Tuesday. I'm Kimberly Van Buren, and welcome to the Balancing Act. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. It's a great opportunity to come and talk about things that we need to talk about. Mental health, complete wholeness, appropriate work-life balance, all of the things that cause us issues in our day-to-day lives. And I'm just thrilled to be here with you guys in order to talk about it, because we all need the space to talk about things, because we don't. And we ignore things and they get out of hand and we start experiencing all of these issues. And so here's the place that you guys can come and leave messages, and I will write you guys back. You can inbox me at Balancing Act Life Management Services, and I will respond to all of your questions. I like to start my day personally with positivity, whether it is a inspirational quote or a podcast, a Bible verse, whatever it's going to take to get me inspired and to set my intentions for the day and be positive. That's what I like to do. And so I wanted to do the same thing with you guys here on the show. Every Tuesday, we're going to start off with a positive quote. And in order to get it right, I wrote it down here. Today's quote is, "Authenticity is a daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are." And the reason why I love that quote so much is because it really puts us right where we are, which is right now. Not about what you're going to be, what your goals are, what you're trying to do, the relationship you're trying to have, the next job you're going to get. It's about who you are right now. And you have to embrace who you are right now and appreciate it and show gratitude if you're going to appreciate the next step. And it's so hard for so many of us because we're all doing so much stuff. But it is important to appreciate what you're doing right now. And that's why this quote is so good. It just makes you understand and be mindful of what's going on. And that leads us right into our topic for today, which is, what's your reality? We chose this topic because so many people are on every social media and we're watching reality TV, and it's hard to differentiate sometimes what is real life and what is entertainment, right? Because a lot of the stuff we see on social media is really entertainment, and we might mistake it for real life. And with us spending so much time on social media, it's hard to figure out what it is that we're doing on there. Is it making us feel good? Or are we comparing our own lives to other people's lives? If you take the statistics from just 3 years ago and how many people now say that most of their friends are on the internet, right? We used to go out and socialize with each other, and now we spend most of our time talking to people on the internet and social media places, which is fine as long as it's not causing you any adverse effects, which it does for a lot of people. There was a study published in Computers and Human Behavior on December 10th, 2016, which found that multiple social media platforms is most strongly associated with depression and anxiety. So it's not even about how much time you spend on social media, it's about how many platforms you have on social media. And so it says the average person has about 11 social media profiles. And that sounds ridiculous to most of us, but if you think about it, you have Snapchat, Facebook, Tumblr, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube channels, Google+, right there, and we don't pay attention to all of those thinking like, oh, that's social media, but it actually is, because you have the comments and you're commenting back to people and you're reading the comments and you're putting your energy out there. It's not just a virtual place. It causes real emotions. And we need to focus on what those emotions are. For many people, they have difficulty, like we talked about before, differentiating what is real and what is entertainment. So if I'm on social media all the time where people's pictures are perfect, right? They're always on vacation, they're living the best life ever, and I'm at work, well, that might make me feel a little bad because I want to be on vacation and have a perfect picture too. But what you have to understand is that they are only showing you the best of, right? It's like looking at a photo album. You have to understand that this is not their contents of their whole life. This is just the points. They're just telling you what it is that they do that's fun, what's pretty, what's, what they want to be seen. But they're not showing you when they go to the doctor's office or when they're going to get gas or doing all the stuff that we all have to do that may not seem that fun. So you have to really pay attention to that when you're on social media. Another thing that happens when you're on social media looking all the time is that you might feel bad about where you are in your life as far as your career, because you might see someone getting an award or, they're getting a promotion, and people always put that kind of stuff on social media. And so then you're thinking like, God, I haven't had a promotion in so long, or I hate my job. All of these things really wear on your well-being, whether you know it or not. And so I'm just here to promote the fact that you really should pay attention to how social media is affecting you on the day-to-day basis. There was another study done, and it says why more platforms might be detrimental is because you're spending so much time checking all the different portals, and it's causing you to multitask, which takes away from your focus and your cognitive abilities. Social media affects our brain and our body in so many different ways that they're continuously studying it. There's somebody doing a study about it right now about how social media affects your brain. It distorts your cognitive abilities, because when you see something so much, it feels like it is true, right? It feels like it's the reality. So if that reality is not happening to you, you also will feel a certain way about that. Social media and the way you check all of your platforms will also influence the way you are able to handle other life tasks. Because if you are used to checking all of these portals and keeping up with all the different rules of all the different portals, it may seem difficult to switch gears and do other things that are less active, like your job. If your job is not that fascinating, then you might have some issues with that. So I want you guys to understand that although social media is great for a lot of things, you want to make sure that you're not having the negative effects of what it can cause. And a couple of ways that you can do that is to pay attention to how you feel when you're on social media. If you're feeling poorly when you're on social media and jealous and feeling negative and just feeling bad about yourself or angry at the people you see, you might want to log off and think about what you're doing with your time. Which leads me to the next thing you should be paying attention to is, when are you on social media? Is it every time you get a dead spot in your day? Do you get on social media and do some scrolling? Or is it when you are at home? Do you actually say, I'm going to sit down and get on Snapchat? Right? Because this time can be spent having real relationships outside of your electronic device. The average American checks their phone every 6 seconds. Every 6 seconds. I wanted to think about that. These are devices that used to be used for phone calls, but now we don't even talk to people on the phone anymore. We're too busy texting and chatting on social media and all the different portals. And so I encourage you to get out and have some real life relationships with people where you can interact and have the conversation and see some of their ups and downs in order to understand that life is happening to everyone. And it's not just all of the good things, because that's what we see when we're on all the different portals. We only see the good. And so we think that when we're having our bad, that we're the only ones. It can make you feel really isolated to have a bad day at work or in your marriage or with your children. And then you get on Instagram and you see people like, oh, my kid's the best, and they're doing all these fabulous things. And you're like, oh, my kid's not. Right? So, I mean, it can make you feel bad. And it just, you have to understand that these are all moments in time. And it takes us back to our quote for today about authenticity. It is so much better to be a first-rate you than a second-rate someone else. You can only be you, and you have to really appreciate that and understand that whatever glorious mess you are, that's who you are. So you might as well embrace it, because it's going to be really difficult to ignore it and try to be someone else. That's what causes us to be anxious and depressed and feel lonely and isolated. And so paying attention to that, super important. How do you know if you're having an issue with social media? I ask you to look at or answer these 3 questions about yourself. Number 1 question, have you ever been in a decent mood and had been on social media and had your mood negatively affected by what you saw about someone else's life? Right? Have you ever gotten sad or depressed or lonely by looking at someone else's post? That's a telltale sign that you are negatively affected by social media, right? So pay attention to that when you're scrolling through all of the posts of people. Like, how is this affecting me? How do I feel about this? Is it making me happy? Do I feel like I'm having a good time with people? Or am I just hating on people scrolling through all of their stories? So that's the first question I want you to ask. The second question is my mood affected by how many likes and follows and shares I have? Right? So if I post something and then I see later on I only have a couple of likes, am I going to be sad about that? Or if I post something and I get a lot of likes, am I going to be happy about that? Your social media should be an extension. It should not be the complete encapsule of your feelings and your emotions, right? It should be something extra. It should not dictate how your day is going to be if you don't get a lot of likes or a lot of shares. And keeping that in mind, if that is happening to you, that is another telltale sign that you are having an issue with social media. The third question I ask you to ask yourself is, do you ever lie on any of your posts? Right? Even if it's just a little lie, do you say that you're somewhere that you're not? Are you with someone that you're not with? Are you doing something that you've never done? You're just posting because it sounds very cool. If you've ever done that, then again, you have issues with social media because it's supposed to be a snapshot of what your life is, not what you want your life to be. Be authentic. Appreciate what you're doing. If you're not doing anything today, okay, then you're not doing anything today. Right? It's okay. Whatever life that you're having right now, even if you're in the process of changing it, it's still okay. You have to embrace who you are. And I encourage you guys to go ahead and leave some comments. I will come back and read them and answer any questions that you guys have. And you can inbox them to me so everybody won't see, and I will send the message back to you. If you have questions about anything, relationships, parenting, work-life balance, all of the stuff is relative. And in order to keep yourself healthy and your wellness up, you have to be able to talk about it to someone. Hopefully everyone has someone that they can talk to in person and not on social media so that we can talk about these things. And if not, you always have us here on Tuesday mornings and we can talk about it as well. We did collect a few questions over the week, and I'm going to read one of them right now. And the first question was, I've talked to my teenage daughter about being able to tell the difference between celebrity lives and real lives, but she is still consumed with mimicking some celebrity looks and the way they dress. How can I help her understand that what she sees is not always 100% real? Well, that goes back to what we were talking about, right? Social media can be very tricky. For young people especially, they need to be monitored. And you as the parent, you are their model, right? And so if they see mom or dad or auntie on social media all the time, and that is what their whole life is wrapped in, then that's how they might mimic. So you might want to show them that real life is more important than social media, and that these people are not necessarily having this grand time all the time. You have to help them understand that this is a snapshot of their best time, right? You're seeing their photo shoot, their episode, you're seeing all their good stuff. It's not always like that. And so being able to explain that to your teenager is going to be very important. Also, there are certain websites that you can go to. If you Google before and after Photoshop, you can see a lot of real and a lot of Photoshopped pictures. And that will help your teenager understand that there is a lot of Photoshop and prepping that go on when people are taking these pictures, right? And even people like Kim Kardashian, who always talks about all of her filters and how, there is a science to this. People are not just throwing up the camera and taking these best selfies. No, they're photoshopped, they're edited. There's so much that goes on. They have a complete glam team to fix them up. So your regular 16-year-old self maybe will not be able to accomplish that. And the thing is that it's okay. What we want to do with our young people is to build them up and let them know that although they're evolving and they are changing and they're making their own path, they have dreams and goals, that they are still okay where they are right now. That is key, because if you are not comfortable with who you are right now, it's going to make it almost impossible to get to where you're going, because you're always going to be down on yourself. You're never going to feel like you're good enough or that you can do it, right? So you have to be able to empower them. And by doing that, letting them know that they are okay, even if they don't look like whomever it is that they are following. So hopefully that answers your question. Again, if you have any other comments or follow up, go ahead and put it in a comment, or you can inbox. Also, that we have one more question, and it is, my friend follows one of the basketball wives on Instagram and is always trying to dress and pose for pictures like her. Am I being petty, or for thinking that a grown woman should have higher standards in her life? Well, that is a very interesting question too, because we are always looking at other people, judging them. And that's what we're doing. You hear people all the time saying, oh, I don't judge. We all judge, right? We all judge. It's just about how we present that judgment. Is it negative or not? So when you're thinking about your friend and the fact that she's all into basketball wives, you might have to ask yourself, is it going to be helpful for you to say anything to her? Because unsolicited advice is taken as criticism. And we have to remember that we're all adults. So if your adult friend doesn't ask you for advice on this particular issue, you might not want to say anything to her about it. And if that's something that you can't handle, is her being into her basketball wives or whatever it is, then that might be an issue that you have to deal with and deal with your relationship. But to judge her and make her feel bad, like what she's doing is beneath you or you don't agree with it, that's not really friendship, and it's not healthy for either one of you, right? So although I'm talking about social media and reality TV and things like that, still everyone has their own choices, right? And so when they choose to do whatever it is they're going to do, you have to either be their friend and be supportive of them, or decide that you're going to make other choices and not hang around them. I also wanted to mention that the phrase I just used, that unsolicited advice is taken as criticism, it's really important to pay attention to that, because adults often do not want to be criticized by other adults. It's friendly to try to help your friend out and give them advice on things. But usually when they ask you, you don't want to immediately go into, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be on social media. And I hope that that's not how you guys have taken this. I want to just be here to help you guys with anything you might be having difficulty with. And if social media is one of those things, then hopefully these tips will help you not have an unhealthy relationship with social media. Okay? For today, I think that's all that I have. And I will be back next week, and we will have another topic. Again, leave all the comments and questions in the inbox or down in the comment section, and I will get back with you immediately. All right? Have a blessed day, everybody, and thanks for coming to the Balancing Act. Thank you.